Really worthy of the Von Karma name. A competition. The person that figures out the truth first wins. So the person who doesn't discover the truth is a dishonor to the name. Exactly. I don't care that you became a prosecutor before me. I simply refuse to hear any more foolish things come from your foolishly foolish mouth. Fine, whatever makes you happy. Can I take that as you accepting my challenge? Once again, whatever makes you happy. Well then, let's begin the investigation, shall we? I'm going to find the perfect evidence and prettily present it like the professional I am. Competing to discover the truth behind a crime. How delightfully childish. Oh. You kids over here, hold it. Jesus. Kid. Serves you right, Miles. He just called you a kid. I said kids, kid. How dare you call me a kid as well? I'll do what I please, and I won't allow you to cause a ruckus on my crime scene. Hey, big guy. You're going to watch over these two. Yes, sir, Detective Bad Sir. Now do what I say from now on, kids, okay? You better not get in our way, Scruffy. You'll feel the bite of my whip if you do. Then you, prosecutor boy. Let's get your investigation started already, alright? Great, now even that detective is treating me like a child. Alright, it's time to get investigating. Get a move on, prosecutor boy. Oh my god, my name is Miles Edgeworth. If you call me prosecutor boy one more time, it will be my duty as a prosecutor to look into your monthly salary. Oh no! So this is where it all started. What? What would you do with my salary after you saw how much it was? That's up to you now, isn't it? Really? Sounds good, pal. He's so naive. Holy crap. Detective Bad, may I have a word with you? What is it? It appears that both a knife and a gun were used as murder weapons. Yeah, it does. That leads us to our first question of the investigation. Where did the men acquire these weapons? The gun was inside of Faraday's bag. It was a piece of evidence that was presented in the trial earlier today. But it was used to kill the Cadopian embassy staff member. But I never heard anything about the knife. Mr. Rowe was being held by the police. There's no way he could have brought it in. Which means it's possible that Faraday had the knife on him from the start as well. Could it have been a piece of evidence that had yet to be presented? Oh, pardon me. But then why doesn't Detective Bad know about it? Wait, what if... It's possible that Mr. Faraday brought the knife in under the guise of prosecutorial evidence. He could have then brought it out and attacked Mr. Rell with it. Huh. Maybe you've got a brain in there after all, kid. Is he going to treat me like a child forever? It looks like Mr. Faraday attacked Mr. Rell first, who then counterattacked. That's the only logical conclusion you can draw from a scene like this. Not yet. I feel that it's much too early to be drawing conclusions already. We must first find conclusive evidence, so as to ensure the honour of the Von Karma name. Oh, now I'm in charge. Yay! There's all sorts of shit on the table. I can't stop yawning either. There's some stuff in the bag, pal. I suppose this was Mr. Faraday's bag? It's probably the trial evidence I was supposed to collect from him. This is the evidence? I'd better not touch it. I'll leave prints on it. Do you just not pay attention to anything you do? Is that window open? I'm just noticing the curtains, like, swaying back and forth. There are some plastic bags stacked up on the table. There's a tea set too, but there doesn't seem to be any sign of a disturbance. Yeah, the table's all neat and tidy. Neat and tidy table. The tea set and plastic bags on top of the table are completely undisturbed. Maybe they were super quiet in their scuffle? After all, I didn't hear anything from out in the hallway, you know? Maybe the plastic bags scattered on the floor are throwing us off. Oh, that's also the tea set, so... Why are there plastic bags scattered all around? Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal. I know that much, detective. You sure are good at this stuff, aren't you, pal? Normally I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it's this guy... Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence of a fight between the two men? So plastic bags strewn about, plastic bags used to store evidence are strewn all over the floor. I do want to check this too. The window was open and... there's a fresh flowery scent in the air. The flowers in the garden down there are so gross and ghastly. Do you think maybe you could try offering something useful for a change? Well, at least there's no way someone escaped through this window, pal. They wouldn't wake up and smell the flowers after a fall from the third floor. Are you willfully ignoring the fact that there are also iron bars on the window? Seems that way. Yeah, I guess there's that too. Either way, no one could get through these windows, right? They thought of everything when they were designing this car house. Very nice. Whoa! What is it, Detective Gumshoe? My TV at home is so tiny compared to this one, pal. Then perhaps you should purchase a more normal-sized television like this one. Ooh, let me see here. Wow, this thing is huge. And way too noisy. You're the noisy one, Scruffy. Don't touch it. You'll get your fingerprints all over it. But I didn't touch it. Preservation of the crime scene is the foundation of detective work. The foundation, huh? Sounds like something the rookie here needs to shore up on. Then we have the bodies. It looks like Mr. Faraday fell on top of Mr. Rell. At first glance it seems like they must have killed each other, however, using logic, the only logical conclusion is, aha! What was that outburst for? My detective's instinct just hit me real hard. It was Mr. Rell that fell first, see? You don't need a detective's instinct for that, it's common sense. But I suppose we won't know much more than that until after I examine the bodies. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious nook and cranny. Okay, so we got the knife and then we got the murder weapon. Looks like Mr. Faraday died holding the gun in his right hand. So he shot Mr. Rell and then fell on top of him while still gripping onto the gun? I guess that does seem kinda strange, huh? I mean, why would Mr. Faraday know how to fire a gun? It's not exactly rocket science, even I know how to pull a trigger. Although I doubt I'll ever need to use one. I hope I never have to fire a gun either, pal. But it sure does look cool to hold a gun in your hands. It appears that the police's screening procedures need a thorough review. Anyway, I should jot down some notes about the handgun in Mr. Faraday's hand. Right. We got him with that. He's also still gripping onto the knife. Looks like Mr. Rell died with the knife in his hand. There's some blood stuck on it. Then he must have used this as the weapon. Yep, no doubt about it. Was Mr. Faraday carrying this on his personage? Did he bring this as a piece of evidence for the trial? Or did he bring it with a very different intention in mind? I should jot down some notes about it. There's also this, which is really weird. It's like a bag filled with blood. Why are there plastic bags scattered all around? Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal. I know that much, detective. You sure are good at this stuff, aren't you, pal? Normally I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it's this guy... These plastic bags be evidence of a fight. Okay, so we've already gotten that. Oh, so you can get... Really? You can get the logic from two different things. Weird. That is really quite strange. Mr. Faraday, how ironic it is for him to lose his life in a cart house. Yeah, why did it have to be like this? I don't know what to say. I can't believe this happened while I was on watch, pal. Rather than beating yourself up, you should spend your time continuing the investigation. Did you become a detective in order to solve crimes? Yeah. Then get back to work. Find out the cause of his murder. Right, I'm on it, pal. And we have Mr. Rell. First he killed a Cadopian embassy staff member, then he was murdered himself. This guy wasn't exactly an angel, you know. Oh? What makes you say that? Well, he's been hauled in to the precinct several times for theft and assault, pal. So yeah, he's definitely the type to have committed a murder or two. Well, he did admit to killing Mr. Deedman. Hey, good point, pal. I knew my detective's intuition was telling me something. Detective intuition. Yep, do you know about it? It's a special feeling that all the tech... We don't have time for this conversation right now. Let's return to the investigation. Right, well I know I could probably logic some stuff up. Neat and tidy table, the lobby window. Wait, so what's this? The tea set and plastic bags are completely undisturbed. Oh, hang on. Yeah, how are they undisturbed if there are some on the floor? They're hail-maying. Okay, so there's a very tiny pile of plastic bags on the table, and yet a portion of them wound up scattered on the floor as well. It's not likely that the ones on the floor were knocked over during a struggle, in which case, might there be another explanation as to how they got there? Another reason? I believe it's possible that the blood on the it looked like it was inside the bag, that's what threw me. It's like, why have they got blood in a bag? The blood on the outside of the bag is related somehow. Please get that blood away from me, pal. Detective Gumshoe, whose blood is on this bag? Hold on, let me ask the lab guy. Alright, please hurry. What do you get a load of this, pal? It's Mr. Faraday's. Oh, and the technician said they didn't find anything else on or in the bag either. It would appear that this bag is a very important piece of evidence. Okay, if you say so. I leave it in your hands, pal. Oh, there we go, we got a plastic bag. Yeah, the only one I have is the lobby 2 window. Actually, have I spoke to... I haven't really spoke to her, have I? I see. Did you figure something out? This is a competition, Miles, and as such I'd appreciate if you didn't talk to me. As you wish. Oh wow, I actually don't get to talk to her. What about Bad? He's taking notes. Detective Bad, do you have any thoughts on the case? Faraday and Rel. It looks like they killed each other, to me. Although there are a few things that just don't seem right. And what would that be? Or what would they be? Why don't you try thinking on your own first before you bother me, boy? Jesus. What? Now I've been downgraded to just boy. So there is still some suspicious stuff. Is there a way, can I flip these guys? His hand is all black down here. See, I wonder what what it could be. If you look closely, this blotching pattern resembles an ink stain. So Mr. Faraday has ink on his hand. Why is there ink on such a place anyway? An ink stain? Yes, I usually get ink on my own hand when I use my feather pen. A feather pen? I've never seen one before. Sure you aren't just making it up, pal? Oh, that was what I was missing. Okay. Mr. Roll's cause of death was from being shot, correct? That's what we think, but it's hard to tell with him lying face down. Death is bad enough, but it's truly lamentable that someone would try to hide the truth. Are you sure they were trying to hide something? I can't confirm Mr. Roll's cause of death with his body positioned like that. Detective Bad, I'd like to examine the bodies in further detail if possible. What's this? You're not able to form a theory with them in the way they are? I believe an examination of the bodies is vital to finding the perfect evidence, don't you? I suppose you do have a point. Well, hurry up and get on with it. Labby. Yes, sir, we've taken enough photos of the scene, sir. And there you have it. Do you not approve? Of course not. What? Investigation of a crime scene is the work of a detective. so don't touch a thing. Hey big fella, turn over the bodies for me, will ya? Okay. Please forgive me, Mr. Faraday, sir. Gumshoe, do not get emotionally involved. Remember, you're a detective. Yes sir, understood sir. Right, well, nothing's changed apart from the fact there's a gun wound. Shot in the chest. It takes some guts to fire a gun in a courthouse. I mean, I've been a detective for a whole week, and I still haven't fired a single round yet. There aren't any burn marks on his clothes, that must mean... Wait, burn marks? A round grows very hot as it is discharged from a firearm. Therefore, burn marks are usually left when a shot is fired from point-blank range. Ergo, Mr. Rell must have been shot from at least a yard or two away. You sure do know a bunch of neat stuff for your age, pal. Apparently, this detective has as much common knowledge as your everyday marsupial. Wow. And then he got stabbed. In literally the same place. There's a knife wound in his chest here, see? I wonder if the wound matches the knife Mr. Rell is holding. Labby? Yes sir, verify now sir. Makes it quick, or make it quick. From the look of things, one could deduce that the knife Mr. Rell is holding is what killed Mr. Faraday. So, there's something in his breast pocket. It's a fountain pen. The fountain pen in Mr. Faraday's pocket has an especially nice nib. You know, I always keep a pencil behind my ear. It's because Detective Bad is always telling me, you should always write your name on everything you own. Yeah, somehow, you do strike me as quite a forgetful individual. Let us now try to understand how the two men died. First, Mr. Faraday took the gun and the knife out from today's trial evidence. Then he aimed the gun at Mr. Rell and fired. However, Mr. Rell managed to grab the knife and counter Mr. Faraday while being shot. Then the two men fell together where they stood. That is my theory in any case. What a crazy way to go. Still, something about the explanation just doesn't seem right. I believe I now have a firmer grasp on what happened here. Logic! I mean, they're the only two that are related. So that splotch on Mr. Faraday's hand, I wonder if it might be the ink from his fountain pen. Oh, let me ask the lab guy. So... Detective Gumshoe? I confirm that the substance on Mr. Faraday's hand is the ink from his fountain pen. I see, good work. You know, I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life. If Mr. Faraday wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand, I think it's fair to assume that he was left-handed. It appears that Mr. Faraday's pen is very important to our case as well. Okay, if you say so, pal. Wait, if he's left-handed, why was he using the gun in his right hand? Aha! I have something I can look at. I guess there's not much left to investigate, huh? They really did kill each other. No, we can't conclude that quite yet. No, we can't. We need to... yeah, the gun. It's in his right hand. There's still something I find very peculiar here. The theory that they simply killed one another is too simplistic in this case. In fact, there is actually a contradiction that shows there is another possibility. No way, pal, really? I suppose I will just have to show you the conflict in this crime scene. I won't listen to... yeah. I'm hoping that's a good point. What would I... the fountain pen? Does it... oh, there. Left-handed. Boom. Eureka! Now we come face to face with the contradiction I spoke of, and it is this. Mr. Faraday used his left hand to write with his fountain pen. Ergo, he is left-handed. And yet the handgun is in his right hand. Don't you find it odd that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That lady and gentleman, or that lady and gentleman, is the great contradiction haunting this crime scene. Hey, you're right, pal, that does seem kinda strange. But how could something like that happen? The facts add up to one conclusion and one alone. Someone else put the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand after he died. Someone else? Plastic bags scattered on the floor, and a gun in the wrong hand. I sense the presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. So there's that. Not too shabby. Here's the autopsy report. It is probable that Mr. L survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting. Right. It looks like we now know everything we need to know about this case. Are you sure we know everything? Of course. The incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear and simple. There's absolutely no margin for doubt. Do you really believe that to be the truth? Huh, are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it's true? It's alright, if you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is. Don't worry, I will. Okay, so it's argument time, of course. What happened? Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous while Mr. Rell survived for a short time. From this it is obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rell. Then Mr. Rell, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory. Alright, time to rebut. Can I still do this? Hold it. Hold it. Hold. Oh. Oh! It's very iffy though, I'll admit. Do you truly believe that Mr. Faraday died instantaneously? I have the murder report right here. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously of shock due to being stabbed in the chest. There you see, it's been documented clear as day. Let's try 2 for 2. Hold it. It does work! Nice! To be fair, having the emulator use my actual mic is probably way better than trying to use an onboard DS mic. The quality of the DS mic was so shitty. But I don't know what the quality of this would be for the emulator, whether it would be crystal clear, like it actually is for recording and everything, or not, who knows. So Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell before he died. Do you have any basis for that statement? Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously. That's all the basis I need. Alright, so if Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, then he must have attacked Mr. Rell before being stabbed. You're finally beginning to catch on, I see. While on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. So you believe that the dying Mr. Rell stole the knife from Mr. Faraday? Mr. Rell became desperate as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. So the two men struggled, and in the end, Mr. Rell was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament to their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound. Can you really say that it's perfect? What are you insinuating? Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide by without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise, so if you could append that statement to your testimony... Fine. They struggled and Mr. Rell used the last of his strength to counterattack Mr. Faraday. I think you'll find that they did not. Yeah, didn't hear a sign of struggle. Woohoo! So if the two men were fighting, their struggle must surely, or would have surely, caused quite a bit of noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing. You place too much faith in that detective's testimony, you know. But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rell get his hands on the knife? Mr. Faraday's bag was sitting here right here in lobby number 2. It's not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rell saw a chance and took it out at some point. So what you're saying is this. Mr. Rell took a chance when he saw the opportunity, and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed? Isn't there something strange in Franziska's statement just now? Yes. Something is off. Wait, something doesn't add up. Oh, really? It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed. Wait. Oh no, cause, yeah. She's saying that Faraday died first. But if you look at them, they're on top of each other. Yeah, died immediately after a gunshot was heard. Yeah, and they landed on top of one another. And everything thought. According to the coroner's report, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, we could not possibly have fired the gun after that. Ooh, you got me. But of course. Well then, if the report is correct, then there is only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. Rell attacked first, then Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Rell. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot, then they both died. That's the only explanation that makes logical sense. Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory. I see you've been studying, Franziska. I just wanted to explain it to you as simply as possible, before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could. How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid, and still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Franziska, you still got a ways to go. What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic? Miss Faraday died instantly, and the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in this scene. The contradiction here in the crime scene, or in this crime scene, is the order of the bodies fell. If Mr. Faraday died first, surely he would have landed underneath. So let me get this straight. What you are arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then, the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot, and Mr. Rell died thereafter. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order in which their bodies are piled. No! Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's, therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Faraday. Impossible! Yes, I agree that it seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime... I didn't even get to read that. No, not so fast, Miles Edgeworth. What now? I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now that the incident started with Mr. Faraday's murderous intent. Is it really this again? She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong. What happened? Part 2. It was just chance that Mr. Faraday's body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter in the slightest that they fell in the opposite order. Oh, okay. I just know that Franziska's explanation isn't absolutely correct.